Hello, my name is Greg Lowen. I am the CEO of Digonex, a proud partner of Accesso, focused in the field of dynamic pricing. And if you're watching this video, it's because you've decided that you want to learn a little bit more about what dynamic pricing can do for your organization, as well as how our partnership with Accesso helps make these capabilities available to you. So let's move on. Quick background to our firm. Our sole mission in life is building customized and automated dynamic pricing solutions tailored to the needs of each of our clients. We are a dynamic pricing company. There aren't a huge industry of folks who do what we do, but this has been our niche focus since we've been doing business in the sector since late 2013. We work principally in two areas. One being attractions and tour operators, broadly defined. That's the area I'm going to focus my remarks on for this session. But we also do a lot of work in the live entertainment and performing arts space in seated venues. One of the things that differentiates our approach is that we employ a team of PhD economists who are experts in pricing science. Those are the folks that build the algorithms that power our pricing solutions, that help our clients optimize their results. And we've become very good over time at adapting the implementation of our technology around these very specific, unique requirements, business characteristics, and objectives of each individual client. So this is not an off-the-shelf product that is set it and forget it. We understand that every client's business is different, and it requires a different approach to make sure that we're delivering the best possible results for our clients. We do this work for a lot of different operators in the attraction space. We work for not-for-profit operators, for-profit operators, those in urban centers, those in outlying areas, zoos, aquariums, museums, theme parks, all of the various spaces in the attractions world. We've had experience, and our technology has worked well, and are happy to provide references for anybody who'd like to dig deeper into case studies with any of our current clients. The reason clients call us is manifold. First and foremost, for most of our clients, dynamic pricing is a path to substantial and sustained revenue growth. But what we've learned is that when you do a better job of aligning price with underlying demand and supply factors, you can use dynamic pricing to achieve a whole host of other important strategic and operational objectives, whether that's ensuring accessibility, making sure you've got enough low price opportunities to appeal to a broad marketplace, using price to provide a motivation for guests with flexibility to come during off-peak times so that you can flatten the attendance curve, provide a motivation to purchase tickets further in advance or through more economically attractive channels. Interestingly, even though memberships and season passes are not dynamically priced themselves, we often find that when managed in the right way, the implementation of dynamic pricing for general admission tickets will more often than not accelerate the growth of those season pass and membership products. So there's lots of different benefits. Clients come to us looking for dynamic pricing to do different jobs for them. And the great news is that when you customize it and design it well, it can actually accomplish a lot of different goals simultaneously for your organization. So what is dynamic pricing? At its core, at its simple core, what dynamic pricing is moving away from a static pricing strategy where your base adult price is the same across all days or times of the year, and better align your prices with underlying demand. So the result is something like this picture shows, where each day of admission will now, under dynamic pricing, will have a distinct price, and the price for each of those days will change over time as new and more recent information becomes available. Things like sales information, weather forecasts, changes in the competitive environment that may affect pricing. So that's dynamic pricing at a high level. But when we dig below the surface a little bit, we understand that the phrase is used today commonly to describe a whole range of different pricing strategies. So this is a very simple continuum that we use in sort of thinking about where clients are on their dynamic pricing journey. Of course, many clients are still employ a very static pricing strategy where they pick a single price at budget time, and that is the price for the next year. Many clients have moved a little bit to the right and employ what we would call a simple variable strategy, where perhaps they've got a premium price on weekends and school holidays, or a seasonal price that's a little bit higher in the summer than the winter, depending on their demand patterns. Others have gone even further to a rules-based variable system, largely driven by capacity, where you can program right into the system, right into your ticketing system, some basic rules such as, when I'm 70% sold out of my capacity, add $5 to the price automatically. When I hit 80%, do the same. When I hit 90%, do that again. And that's a very common kind of approach. And often folks will stop there. When they get to that rules-based approach, they'll say, I've got dynamic pricing solved. And not to say that some of these variable pricing approaches won't create value, because they absolutely will. And by all means, if you're employing a static pricing strategy and you haven't started experimenting with different variable prices, we strongly encourage you to do so. But if you stop there, you leave a whole lot, potentially even most of the value on the table, because there are some real limitations to those rules-based systems. For example, generally they require a lot of manual analysis. They can take a lot of management time, a lot of valuable staff time to figure out and analyze the data to determine when price changes might be appropriate. Then even when you get to that point, you're at best making an educated guess at what the optimal price change is under that set of circumstances. They're typically limited to using data that's housed in the ticketing system, which is why most of them in our experience are largely capacity driven and solely capacity driven. They can often become too reliant on historical averages, using the historical average behavior as a benchmark for whether a day or an event is selling well or poorly. But it's not necessarily the case that historical average performance is the optimal benchmark for future performance. Because the rules are set in advance, they tend to be completely unreactive to changes in the marketplace that are happening constantly. And if you're an operator, you understand that. And because they're largely driven only by demand or an estimate or guesstimate of future demand, they pretty much ignore really important factors like price elasticity. So how does the price itself affect demand for attendance, and substitution effects? So things like, how does the price on a given day affect demand for attendance on surrounding days? Or how does the price on a general admission ticket affect the likelihood that that guest will upgrade to a membership or a season pass? And in the pursuit of optimizing overall revenue, it's really important to understand and embrace these elasticity and substitution effects in determining the optimal prices. And that's something that a typical capacity-driven approach will generally overlook. So we get around these constraints in a few different ways. First of all, we work with a much broader array of data points. Obviously, all the sales and capacity information is vitally important, and of course, we make use of all of that, but we'll also take factors like weather into account and weather forecasts, what Google Analytics tells us. As I mentioned before, what are the specific objectives of the client? Is the client really interested in pure revenue maximization, or is it about revenue maximization subject to achieving certain attendance goals and driving additional ancillary per cap revenues inside the park or the attraction? There's lots of different ways in which the problem can be designed, and algorithms are great at doing exactly what you tell them to do. So you want to be as precise as possible in what exactly you're trying to accomplish. We'll also look at broader macroeconomic trends. Things that have been relevant recently are inflation and unemployment rates, and things that can drive consumer purchase behavior and price elasticity from market to market. And then the job of our economists is to take all of that data, build a customized solution that can understand and effectively project demand for admission to a given attraction on different days, times, seasons, and then factor in a quantifiable understanding of those price elasticity and substitution effects that we described. And then we deliver to our clients a specific recommended optimal price for every day of admission, or if you have a time-based ticketing approach, our solutions can also deliver a recommended optimal price for each time slot within a day, and we will update those recommendations as frequently as once every 24 hours, 365 days a week, so that you're always getting optimal prices based on the best, most recent available data. Even though it is an algorithm that is generating our price recommendations, there's lots of opportunity for our clients to control and customize how that pricing solution works. So we have a significant set of conversations in the design phase with clients around really understanding objectives. Which parts of the business do they want to apply dynamic pricing to, and are there ticket types or products that they'd like to exclude from the mix, and that's easy to accommodate. What kind of constraints do they want us to work within? For example, what's the a minimum and maximum price constraint, and then rules around how they want how should prices be rounded. We will also document and build right into our code all of the what we call derivative prices. So generally speaking, if we are dynamically pricing the full adult general admission ticket to an attraction, we understand that there may be multiple different ticket types and price levels that are derived mathematically from that. Things like a child ticket being 85% of the adult price, or a built-in discount ticket at 10% off and 20% off and 50% off. And so we'll document all of that and build all of those customization elements right into our code to make sure that they're respected in the prices that we send to you. And then, of course, as we go forward day to day after launch, we provide our clients with a tool for them to manage our price recommendations. This tool is called Seats. It's beyond the scope of this quick video to give a full demo, but if you're interested, our contact information is at the end, and you're welcome to reach out to us. But Seats is a very simple web-based tool. As we run our solution each day, we upload our recommendations into Seats, and then the client can go in, review what we're recommending along with the basic price history for that ticket or that event or that day, and with the click of a button can choose to accept, reject, or override our recommendation if the client wants to make a price change that is different from the one we're recommending. And then this whole system is integrated with the ticketing systems. And so what this allows us to do is in an automated fashion to, on a daily batch basis, ingest all of the updated sales and scan and inventory data that we need to run the solution. And then after the client completes their review process and decides which price changes they want to approve for implementation, our software, through the integration, automatically pushes all of those new prices into the ticketing system. The idea being that on a day-to-day basis, there's absolutely zero manual work required to gather data and send it to us, to do any analysis, or to manually update any prices. And we're very pleased that we have an integration that functions in this manner in place with Seriousware that's been in the marketplace for many times for showware clients. As I speak on the final few days of August in 2023, we are in development on a showware integration that will be live in the fall of 2023, and are in the very early stage of conversations around a passport integration, and hopefully we'll have some more news to share in the coming weeks and months on that with everyone. If this is something you're thinking about, some implementation considerations, because each solution is customized and there's a fair amount of data analysis and coding and software development work that goes on, the timeline from green light to active implementation in the market is generally around 4 months for an attraction client, give or take a little bit. Most of that work falls on us. In terms of the client's role in this process, we generally have a set of what we call project scoping questions that get at some of those design elements around objectives and constraints and so forth, so that we can build the solution accurately. A client setup sheet where we'll ask for some detail about the events you want us to price so that we can set that up in our system accordingly. Of course, as we start pouring through multiple years of historical data at the transaction level, we have a lot of questions to make sure we're processing and cleaning that data appropriately. And so we will need access to an in-house data expert. Sometimes there are website enhancements that are required. We think, for example, it's very important that for dynamic pricing to work as hard as it can for you, there be some form of calendar of the type I showed earlier in this presentation, or a list of days that just makes it very clear to your guests on the website what price options exist for them and how much it costs to come on different days. We think that's real. That transparency is very important in the effectiveness and the acceptance of dynamic pricing among consumers. And sometimes there's a little bit of staff training that's required. For example, in under a static pricing strategy, if a guest calls a call center and says, how much does it cost to come? There's only a single answer. With dynamic pricing, obviously, there isn't a single simple answer. And so it's just building some scripting around asking the guest what day they plan to come and telling them the price on that given day, perhaps suggesting some alternative surrounding days where they can take advantage of a lower price if that's of interest, and encouraging them that no matter which day they plan to come, they should buy their ticket as soon as they can, because the earlier in advance they buy, the better the price they'll get. Simple things like that can make a big difference in the implementation process. So a few quick implementation thoughts. So that's it for my presentation. I hope that's helpful. Here are some contact information. Again, my name is Greg Lowen. I've got a couple of colleagues, Harry Tomasides, who is our Chief Revenue Officer. And for any technical questions about the integration and how that works, our colleague Chris Brashears is happy to answer any of those. So please take down that information if you've got any questions. Hope this has been helpful. Thank you for spending a few minutes with me, and I hope to hear from some of you soon. Thank you.